YouTube? What the crap is going on? Heir of Carthage here. This is an interesting video on the Bayou Onsen map that was submitted by one of my fans. He said that he came across Total War recently and has begun playing Shogun Total War, and it is kind of interesting as I read the email that this fan sent. It very much sounded like me whenever I found Total War. I was an RTS enthusiast, played a lot of Age of Empires, and then I found Total War and realized that, I mean, look, Age of Empires is a great game, but Total War is better, in my opinion, just a lot better. Now, yes, they are kind of two different types of games in some ways, but, you know, really like Total War. So in any case, he is a relatively low-ranking avatar here. It's either 2 or 3 star. Then his opponent is, I believe, like a 3 or 4 star or something like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put it in slow motion for a minute because I don't want to miss any of this action. So you might be, Heir, what the heck? This is a pretty low funds battle between low-ranking avatars. Why is this worthy of YouTube? You know what? I love this replay. And don't get me wrong, I've loved a lot of the replays that you all have submitted, and I really like this one, and I think that you'll agree with me by the time you see it. And what I like about this replay is a new player who is fond of the game, has discovered something that they love, someone who's obviously kind of a tactics enthusiast, and I love the tactics that he employs here against his opponent. Now his opponent, again, some slight advantages probably as far as veterans or other things. Interesting armies here, though. So over on this flank, and the player who submitted this, by the way, it's an alchemist, I guess is just what I'll call him. He's got a Yari Cav and a mounted, or a fire Cav over here, and I want to say there's a mounted gunner somewhere here on the map. Yep, they're back here. His opponent's fielding several Yari Cav units, I believe 3 of them. His opponent's also fielding 3 Matchlock Ashigaru backed by 2 Bow Samurai, and then I believe he has 4 Yari Samurai and 1 Katana Samurai as his infantry. Make that 5 Yari... Nope. 2 Katana Samurai, 4 Yari Samurai. Sorry, I had the numbers wrong there, I believe. In any case, the battle starts off early with an epically gruesome charge into these Matchlock Ashigaru, and I promise you're going to like this. And did I not say gruesome? Look at the bodies and blood flying on that one. So that was a Yari Cav and a Fire Cav. Charges in, just utterly destroys one of these units of Matchlock Ashigaru. And again, fundamental tactics right there. His opponent left his flank open for even just a moment. He brings his mounted gunners up here to take shots, and they didn't stay just quite long enough there. So he's going to have to retreat them because they're being run down by Yari Cav. Right here, he needs his own Yari Cav and Fire Cav to stop this charge, so he did get his mounted gunners out of position, and he told me that in the email. And you know what? So Alchemist is going to make some mistakes here, but again, excellent fundamentals. And he said that this is his first time to get to try and experiment with Kisho Ninja. So he pulls his Kisho Ninja out here and starts throwing ninja bombs. And he wanted me to give some tips on Kisho Ninjas, or maybe how to best use these guys. And he gets a lot of ninja bombs off here, and I mean a lot of ninja bombs. So you can see him chucking them. Some of his own ninjas get hit, unfortunately, though. If you take a look at the kills, you're not going to see a huge number of kills from ninja bombs. More so, it's going to slow down your opponent and drop their morale. But whenever you start hitting your own guys with it, it's bad. So, with the ninjas, if you want some of my advice on how to use ninjas, because trust me, I love using these guys, and if you all want to see some pretty hilarious ninja action, just go back a little ways on my channel and check out the one where I had the ninjas just absolutely decimate a Fall of the Samurai army. I guarantee you that that will be blood-soaked entertainment. So, in this case, his ninjas were a good idea. I think he had them in a good position. They were up on that hill. He had them well hidden. And he had a somewhat believable army out here in the center to keep his opponent busy, whilst he could have sprung a trap from the side. So obviously in this case what went wrong was the cavalry got a hold of his ninjas. If that had just been his ninjas versus all these ground troops, they would have hacked those guys probably clean through. Maybe. I mean, they weren't upgraded ninjas, but they had a very good chance of making that happen because they had an extremely good terrain position here. But when you get cavalry into your ninjas, it's pretty much over, especially Katana Cav. So that's one thing you got to be careful of when using a ninja attack is do not let enemy cavalry get anywhere near them. But units like these Yari Samurai, these guys would have just been absolute ninja bait. If a fight would have gotten started. And what I mean by ninja bait, obviously, is, I mean, these guys might as well have been straw practice dummies because they would have gotten hacked up so bad. So, I mean, those are the kind of targets that your ninjas are going to really do well against. Over here, Alchemist continues to run nuisance cav raids with this fire cav and gets an impressive number of kills. He's up to 100 and some odd kills with that fire cav. He does take a few losses here as he pulls away from a matchlock Ashigaru, but once again, look at the distraction and the disorientation of the enemy as he's constantly shifting his lines and constantly coming in different directions. So even though Alchemist suffered a decisive loss over here in the woods of his ninjas, he's able to keep his enemy guessing. And by that, you know, like right here, the enemy starts to charge, and I don't remember if this is where he actually commits to it. No, it's not. See, the enemy runs away because Alchemist has done an effective job of making him question his tactics and question whether or not he should attack. And in this case, that's going to work to Alchemist's favor because he's got these bows up here that are raining down terror on the enemy units. And he's using this single fire cav unit to just continuously raid the enemy troops and keep them moving and running. And you're seeing here, just like I said, an excellent display of fundamental tactics. Distract, disorientate, and destroy, basically. And here he gets a back charge on these matchlocks by distracting and getting the other enemy troops out of position. So his fire cav, again, just continues to decimate enemy troops while his bows are routing entire units of enemy troops. You can see this Katana Samurai unit here is pretty torn up. Some of these units over here taking arrow fire while his enemy is still indecisive about how and where to attack. His fire cav gets away to live another day. These guys still 138 kills and still have 24 men remaining. Another thing that I'd like to point out that I thought Alchemist did well is if you look at his upgrades, his upgrade on this fire cav, now he's only done 1 or 2, and it looks like he's upgraded some, maybe some melee attack, and I know he's upgraded the charge. And if you look at other upgrades like this Waka Raider, he's upgraded the melee attack, the reload on these bows, and the accuracy. Same thing across these others. If you look at some of the swords, he's got some attack upgrades. So I think the other thing that Alchemist has going for him is even though he's a new player, he's taken the time to understand, you know, how to best spend your upgrades. You know, like your first upgrade, don't pick melee defense on a sword unit or, you know, something stupid on a bow unit like I'm trying to think, whistling arrows or something like that. Make your money count. So when you spend your money on these upgrades and you make your unit more expensive, make it worth it. And so again, the upgrades he ran on this Waka Raider gave them increased attack, and you can see that that's paying dividends. So the extra 50 Koku of cost for the attack is extremely effective, and plus the positioning. He had them in an excellent position on top of this hill. So you're going to see these Waka Raiders just sit here and pwn like several enemy units. And then again, another fundamental tactic, he did a rear charge with his fire cav. They were almost dead. And remember, they had like 130-something kills a minute ago, and they were up to 180 kills there. So they got like another 40 or 50 kills just from that one rear charge. And then the enemy has now blobbed his troop into this very effective Waka Raider unit, which is now just effective, like just slaughtering the enemy. Again, fundamental tactics, positioning. Look at the positioning of Alchemist troops over the positioning of the red troops. The red troops being forced to attack uphill. Alchemist bunching up troops and tiring them out, wasting their charge, and then committing reserve troops that are fresh with a fresh charge, hitting them from the flank and the front. So, like I said, it's all about fundamental tactics, and that's one of the reasons why I love this video. Is it a game-breaking, like, pro championship tournament footage? Absolutely not. But I think it illustrates some excellent points on how to be a good player from day one, basically. And I think Alchemist is a good example of how to be a competitive player from day one. Are there players out there that are better? Sure. Am I the best player either? You know, while I'm at it, absolutely not. I haven't played this game hardly at all over the last few months, and I'm sure that I'm even worse now than I was back in the past. Now, of course, I think back in the day, obviously, I was an average player. But that doesn't mean that you can't recognize good fundamentals where they exist. So here, he uses these lone swords, again, didn't allow them to be charged by the enemy troops. He charged them in afterwards, and then their numbers are going to be able to wear down and destroy the enemy, especially from the terrain advantage. Again, man, I loved this replay. Absolutely loved it. Hope you enjoyed it too. So some tips for new players. Use, you know, some positioning and tactical. Think about your army before you take it in. Everything counts. Your upgrades count. The money you spend on the upgrades counts. take the time to learn those few things and you will be a better player from the beginning. So as you can see on this map, Alchemist came with kind of a surprise army. He even placed his units in the right position on the map to use that surprise army. Now it didn't work out for him real great with the ninjas, but again, had them in good positions, using these hills for cover. So, you know, in order to be a better player, remember those things. Think real life, think smart, and it usually applies to the game fairly well. And then take the time to learn the stats behind the game. I don't mention that a lot, but for instance, you know, these units, whenever I mouse over them, it shows the unit statistics. Take the time to study that for a few minutes before you go into your battles. And then another tip that I would give you is watch the replays. So that's going to be it for this episode of Air Talks Total War. I've got a lot more interesting fan footage that I'd like to show you, but I'll be signing off for now, and I will be back in the near future. Look in the description for when the next video will be posted. I do schedule them on uploads. So check down there. Air Carthage signing off for now. See you soon.